Every season of Survivor is a story. There are main characters, sidekicks, comic reliefs, and villains. A good season of Survivor tells a compelling story that has you rooting for someone and against someone else. You will want to watch episode after episode to see what happens next until it all finishes with a hopefully satisfying conclusion. Each story that we look at together will go through one character's journey from beginning to end, from the time that they're introduced until they inevitably get their torch snuffed or win the game. We will look at every character moment and strategic move to determine whether they were a hero or a villain and whether they were a good or bad strategist. And with that, welcome to Once Upon an Island. Now, for reference, we will only be observing what the TV show is showing us and what story is being told through the show. No future seasons will be mentioned, as the story and characters here have no idea about those future seasons. All character moments and strategic moves are interpreted with the mindset of what the story is trying to tell us. And before we start, I want to thank you for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. For only a few bucks a month on Patreon, you can pick what videos I make, watch all this channel's content early, chat with other fans of the show, and even get exclusive videos every month. With that, let's jump into another epic story.
39 days, 16 people, 1 survivor.
Tyson Apostol, a 29-year-old professional cyclist from Utah, was a castaway on Survivor's 18th season, Survivor Tocantins. He stands out as a true one-of-a-kind person that we didn't see on the show before and haven't really seen since. His humor and daringness to be mean somehow works in his favor and cements him as a villain, and even has him aspect for multiple seasons in the future. So what does Tyson in his original season do to warrant a place in Survivor history? Let's find out. Survivor Tocantins starts with both tribes traveling on a truck, and right away we hear some first impressions about what others think before getting a chance to talk to each other. For example, Erin says she just loves Tyson.
And although no one has spoken to each other, first impressions are already forming.
Tall, spiky hair, model boy. Love him. He just seems like a good guy to have around.
And let's clarify something real quick, because like with a few other Survivor players before him, Tyson doesn't fit the mold of a hero. In fact, with any positive moment that he has as a character, anti-hero is the perfect description. An anti-hero is defined as a main character in a story who lacks conventional heroic qualities and attributes such as idealism and morality. Now, with such high praise, what does Tyson say about Erin?
The younger brunette, she comes off to me as kind of being the bitch.
Well, there's that. Hopefully he keeps his mean comments to his confessionals and doesn't say things like that to people's faces. Anyways, the tribes are split up and Tyson is on the Timbira tribe wearing black. And that is when Jeff throws everyone a curveball. To get to camp, they will have to do a 4-hour hike. It's kind of like the hike in Guatemala, but not overnight and actually doable. But before they do that, each tribe has to vote one player to not go on the journey with them. That's what Jeff says.
We're gonna have our first vote. And one person from each tribe is not gonna make this journey.
Immediately, everyone assumes that this means they're being voted out of the game, which would be crazy to do in a 16-player cast, by the way. But crazier things have happened in Survivor. Sierra is voted out of Timbira, and it turns out that the whole time she was sick, so she doesn't look well.
Young lady, blonde with black and white blouse, Sierra.
Sierra, that's 5, that's enough, head over. You look shocked already, Sierra.
Yeah, well, I have strep throat, so I got it 3 days ago and I'm on antibiotics right now, so.
After both tribes kick someone to the curb, Jeff says, "Hey guys, just so you know, the voted out players get a helicopter ride to camp. Gotcha."
Well, let's be clear. I said you will not take part in this adventure. This adventure is a 4-hour trek to camp.
After a long, gruesome trek for Timbira that seemingly lasts longer than 4 hours, they make it to camp, and Sierra actually worked while she was there and built them a shelter. The next day, they go down to get some water from the creek to be boiled, and well, there's no other way to say this, but Tyson gets nude, and people love it.
Being from Utah, you'd think I'd be a shirt and tie, nerdy glasses, but I'm probably not the stereotypical Mormon. Having somebody that can make you laugh in an environment like this where everybody's dirty and tired, I think people appreciate that. When it comes down to it, I want that $1 million. I'll wear a tiara, a man tiara. Do they make those?
Like Ray from Guatemala, he is not your stereotypical Mormon. At the immunity challenge, Timbira wins, securing them from having to go to tribal council.
That's it!
So that is it for the premiere episode for Tyson. And well, Tyson really seems to have no fear to be himself, which is goofy and brash, and frankly, a breath of fresh air. He comes across as a guy who would instigate a fight between two other people and watch and laugh. But at the same time, that goofy side makes him very endearing and fun to be around. He isn't a stereotypical Mormon, and he isn't a stereotypical Survivor personality so far. With so much of the episode dedicated to the hike and the vote and the challenge, not much was shown at all of Timbira from a strategic standpoint, so as of now we don't really know where he stands. But I do look forward to what other ridiculous jokes he has up his sleeve. Episode 2 sees Timbira just chilling, wishing they had something to eat. It's already happening. We're in episode 2 and people are starving. Candace in particular wants a massive sea bass with olive oil, fresh lemon juice, all wrapped up in aluminum foil. That's how she describes it. And she says this to Tyson, who replies with,
We can find most of that stuff.
Are you serious?
No. I lied straight to your face and you ate it up.
showing just how good of a liar he can be, but here it's for a joke, so no one suspects a thing. At the immunity challenge, both tribes are attempting to score 3 goals to win. Tyson is ruthlessly tackled by JT before escaping and getting a basket. However, later on, it is tied 2-2, and when it comes time to make the winning shot and secure his tribe immunity,
Tyson has it for Timbira!
Go, Tyson!
A wild shot! And he scores! Younghow wins! Immunity!
right after the immunity challenge is done, it seems like Tyson is locked in on voting out one person in particular, one person who he doesn't really care for.
Our tribe's going to tribal council, so we're gonna have to take somebody out. Sierra's probably the one to go. She didn't make the trek with us at the beginning. I mean, she's trying, but it looks like she's numero uno on the chopping block.
Back at camp, Tyson shows us he is a great listener. He is able to be a part of both sides' discussions about who to vote out. Those discussions are centered around whether they should vote out Candace because she's being a real negative Nancy around camp, or Coach, who is just a little bit crazy. And not one person considers him a candidate despite him blowing the immunity challenge, which is of course good for him.
Candace is going around trash talking you. You know what I mean? Big time right now. I don't know. I don't like to be around negativity, and if we've got negative going on in the group.
Something we see happen in the show but could easily be ignored if not paying attention is the great relationship Tyson has built with Jerry. 3 separate times in this episode alone, we see them connecting, and in fact, no one has an ill word to say about Tyson as of now. He then pitches that Sierra might be a better option than Candace, hint hint.
In the challenge yesterday, as hard as Sierra played, I think that she's just too small for something like that. Every time I saw her, she was trying her hardest, but somebody was holding her down. So I think there's going to be some challenges that probably would suit Candace better than they would Sierra.
At Tribal Council, everyone does get on the same page, and Candace is voted out in a 7-1 vote.
Candace, tribe has spoken.
Episode 3 begins with Erin scrambling back at camp, pretending that she was never tight with Candace, except she was, and everyone knew it. Coach simply can't stand Erin and her lying, and just tuck this information away for later, it's going to be important.
Not only did she align herself with the wrong person, Candace, she has completely insulted all of our intelligences when we came back tonight, and she said, you know, I've just been hanging around with Candace the last couple of days because I just wanted to see what she was up to because I didn't trust her.
Before the reward challenge, we learn that Jerry's stomach is messed up and he isn't really eating anything. Unfortunately, Timbira goes on to lose a reward, and when that happens, Coach has a noise he would like to make. Now back at camp, Coach takes what he did and kind of twists it and pins it on Sierra, even though we haven't seen anything like this from her, and we of course just saw Coach do it. Credit to Tyson here for once again being a great listener and not asking Coach, what the heck are you talking about?
Have you seen Sierra? Yeah, she screams. She's like, I can't hear, every time.
But we do hear from Tyson about what he thinks about Coach, and I would say his analysis is dead on. He says that Coach may not be the best, but he thinks he is, and he likes to be heard when he speaks.
He's not always the best at what he's coaching, but he thinks he knows the most. He likes his voice to be heard, which is what we all want and need.
Then it finally happens. The dream that everyone has at one point or another. Tyson is not only befriended by Coach, but also receives a title of honor, which Tyson loves.
You're like my assistant coach, and like we always just see things. We don't have to talk.
He loves me, you know? So if I just keep plugging away, I'll eventually make coach. He may promote me. I don't know if I'll have my own team or will be co-coach or whatever, but people are gonna start calling me that. I'm actually gonna demand it. If we ever get put on separate tribes in this game, I will demand that the other tribe calls me coach too.
At the immunity challenge, Timbira loses, and back at camp it seems like it'll be pretty easy to just vote out Jerry since he is physically weak and seems to be getting worse as the days go on. When Erin realizes she is not the target, she has a big grin. Nothing out of the ordinary, just happy that she's not going to be voted out because she thought she was going. And Tyson is pretty much good to go as a non-target. Now remember that Erin smile from before? Good, because it eats at Coach so much. He can't help but imitate it and paint her as an evil woman for being happy that she isn't being voted out. And I am not sure how Tyson keeps a straight face through all of this.
The look on Erin's face, I'm so pissed off, man. I practiced her look. She went like this. It was the evilest look.
Before tribal council, Tyson talks to Jerry and gives him a pep talk and says, let's get out Erin since she is an evil person for lying and deceiving. I guess Tyson's buying into the narrative that Coach is selling. Not but 2 seconds after he says this though, Jerry asks, hey, has anyone mentioned me as a target? And Tyson says, no, of course not.
To me, it looks like she's just here to lie and deceive and get ahead any way she can.
Has anybody been talking about voting me out?
No, nobody has.
We then hear from Tyson about his loving affection with the idea of blindsiding others, and basically what he hopes will happen when he does it.
Anytime there's a blind side, it's pretty awesome. Just the look on somebody's face. I love seeing people cry when you crush their dreams.
At Tribal Council, there are some talks about maybe Timbira needing a leader, so Jerry nominates Brendan. Now, Coach doesn't like this idea one bit and disagrees completely, and finally says something that makes Tyson crack, and it took long enough.
I'm not suggesting that I'm the leader, but on the truck, I was making eye contact with everybody, and the reason why it worked so smoothly is because I basically told everybody with my eyes to get what they needed to get.
So it sounds like you should be leading.
Well, absolutely. I'd love to be the leader. That's what I'm used to doing. It's not about ego, because I would rather toe the line and be a good assistant coach than try to be a head coach and stroke my ego.
After that complete ridiculousness takes place, Jerry is indeed voted out 6-1.
Jerry, the tribe has spoken. Time for you to go.
Episode 4 begins immediately with a continuation about the talks of Timbira needing a leader, with Coach saying obviously it should be him and everyone else not agreeing at all. Tyson doesn't care about any of this though.
Last night at Tribal, we established a leader, kind of. So I guess Brendan or Coach is the leader. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I don't really care.
At the reward challenge, Timbira loses, and that is now 4 challenges in a row. Back at camp, spirits are a bit low, so Tyson whips out, pun intended, his secret weapon to make people laugh, the good old-fashioned loincloth.
Dude, this is insane, man. This is insane!
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Boonga, 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 boonga.
Oh my God!
How is that a smart move? Because people want to be around others who make their day better, and Tyson is literally making people keel over with laughter. However, he still doesn't like Erin and says that he hasn't talked to her one-on-one all game. Mind you, it is now day 12. That's nearly 2 weeks. He has had plenty of time, and this refusal to make good with those he doesn't like could bite him in the butt later on in the game.
For the most part, I've written Erin off. I mean, I haven't really talked to her one-on-one about anything. Plus, I think she'll be really, really upset when she gets voted off. And I'd like to see a freak out at Tribal. I think that would be fun.
Timbira goes on to win immunity. So we move on to episode 5, and let me catch you up on something that has been happening that has had no direct contact with Tyson, but is about to come up. Exile Island exists this season, but with a twist. One player from a tribe does go to exile, but they get to pick a player from the other tribe to go with them. What is important about this is that the first 2 times exile happened, Brendan from Timbira and Taj from Jalapao went together, and not that Tyson knows this, but they formed an exile alliance, as they call it. Now, as I said before, Tyson doesn't know about this at all, but in episode 5, Brendan is going to exile for a 3rd time, but this time he's going with Steven, and Tyson is correctly suspicious of all these connections that are being made.
I don't know what's going on in Brendan's head, but he's made a lot of contact with the other tribe. Whether he's built up friendships or alliances, I don't know, but he definitely seems to have some of their respect, and it could get dangerous.
Why do you think Brendan picked Steven?
Guys, I think Brendan's trying to build relations with him. He's got to go next.
At the immunity challenge, Tyson scores 3 of the 5 points needed, and Timbira wins immunity.
Sydney goes deep. Tyson scores for Timbira. JT just misses for Jalapal. Timbira wins immunity.
Episode 6 is a recap episode that's not really part of the main story, so we move on to episode 7, where Timbira wins a reward challenge that involves tossing ceramic pigs through an obstacle course of sorts without breaking them. So when they win, Tyson has to celebrate.
Timbira wins reward.
Let me smash it!
Truly, not much is going on for Tyson, as he isn't part of any Timbira drama or doing any of Coach's antics. So at the immunity challenge, it is basically Tyson versus JT to break these ceramic plates with a slingshot to get the puzzle pieces needed for the tribes. Tyson crushes this and gives Timbira a good head start over JT, and it was just what they needed, as
Timbira thinks they have it. And they do. Timbira wins immunity.
so we slide into episode 8, which sees a certain big event take place.
Congratulations, tribes, you have merged. Place your whole bus with the news.
Oh, I love the green.
They have now merged and created the new Forza tribe, which apparently means power in Portuguese and has nothing to do with the Forza racing series like I thought. Anyways, Timbira holds a 6-4 lead over the old Jalapal tribe, so Tyson is entering the merge with numbers. That's great. Obviously though, Jalapal doesn't like this, and Steven even feels intimidated.
The Timbira people are definitely running the show. It's definitely intimidating to go into the merge down in numbers. They can pick us off if they want, you know?
Now that everyone gets to mingle with each other, Coach man crushes over JT, but seriously, who doesn't do that this season? Even I did. As he talks to him and figures out that Brendan and Taj are both carrying an idol in their pockets. So Coach, JT, Steven, Tyson, and Debbie form a new alliance, the Warrior Alliance as they call it. Apparently tribal lines are not that important.
Coach talked with JT last night really good.
Okay.
JT's a straight shooter, good guy.
Okay.
He said he trusts Steven with all his life.
Okay.
Here's the alliance now. You, me, Coach, JT, Steven.
I like JT and Steven
And
both.
they're both
Straight shooters.
It is a risky move, but one that could pay off big time. Anyways, Tyson talks to Steven about voting out Brendan first, and for some reason him and Coach think that once Brendan is gone, the game is theirs for the taking. The only thing that's in their way is Brendan, and Brendan is the dragon.
I'd like to get rid of Brendan. He's the biggest threat. He just seems like a sneaky bastard, you know? I can't look him in the eye and believe a word he says. You can look me in my sweet blue eyes all day, and I'll tell you sweet nothings, and you'll believe all of them.
It's time to go for the jugular. Brendan is the head of the dragon. And you want to defeat the army, you cut off the head of the dragon. For him to go out as the first person from the merge,
We then hear from JT his thoughts on Tyson and how they have changed since he first met him.
I expected to not get along with Tyson at all. We talked a lot of smack to each other, pushed each other around, and now, you know, when you get on the same tribe and you go for individual immunity, you're still competing against the guy, but you're living with him.
At the immunity challenge, everyone has to hang onto a pole as long as possible without touching the ground. I know, it sounds simple, but it's one of those like so simple challenges, but actually it's really hard in execution to pull off and win. Anyways, it comes down to Tyson and Debbie, and
Tyson, you be careful, you'll fall off.
Don't boss me around, lady.
I just don't want you to break your pretty little face.
That's true. It is my moneymaker.
I know.
I just thought that was a funny moment. For reals though, it really does come down to Tyson and Debbie, and
Deborah drops out of the challenge. Tyson wins first individual immunity. Tyson's safe at tonight's tribal council. The rest of you, one of you guys going home tonight.
with that immunity win, Brendan can finally be voted out, barring he doesn't play his idol, and Tyson is pumped up and feeling pretty great as a result.
I kick ass like I always do. If any ladies want my phone number, I guess, ask.
Tyson then gives what I would call a polarizing confessional, and in a lot of ways it kind of sums him up as a character this season. First, he starts with how much he just doesn't like Sierra.
I never liked Sierra ever. I have no clue why she's out here other than to just give hope to stupid people around the world.
But without a second thought, he transitions into a pretty funny joke about how he is going to betray Brendan the dragon, but his delivery makes it fun, and that makes his deceitful gameplay seem okay, even though it's not on paper, but Tyson makes it feel okay.
Brendan, he's really the sneakiest bastard I have to worry about. We smile at each other, we hug, I've kissed him on the neck, softly. He's felt my warm, steamy breath on the nape of his neck, even on the small of his back.
But the blindsiding Brendan the dragon plan will just have to wait. Because back in episode 5, Joe injured his knee, and it's just gotten worse and worse as the episodes have gone on, and now medical is forcing him out of the game, and this actually improves Simbir's lead over Jalapao to 6-3, but there is no tribal council.
They looked at it, did a thorough assessment. He can't continue.
What?
They said the risk of him staying longer was too serious. That if they left him longer in the game, that this could get worse.
Brendan lives to see another day. I am disappointed. The main thing about getting the plan to work was keeping everybody quiet for long enough to vote him out so that he didn't use an idol if he had it. Now, I don't know how much is going to leak or what's going to happen, but
Episode 9 sees a reward challenge where everyone is randomly split up into 3 teams, and somehow JT and Brendan end up on the same team. Everyone sees that their team is stacked, and Brendan says the idea that they could have a stacked team doing underhanded ball tosses at ceramic plates is ridiculous.
Why is everybody after the black team?
Your team's a little stacked, I think.
We're throwing underhand breaking tiles. None of us have ever done this in our lives.
I have.
Coach likes to have the attention. I mean, all the great stuff he's done. Sounds almost too good to be true.
Back at camp, we see Brendan and Taj talk to try and figure out what the Exile Alliance should do next. Brendan says, let's get out Coach and Tyson. First time all game, someone has mentioned targeting Tyson.
Steven, JT, and Sierra are going to take out Coach and Tyson.
This talk of voting him out ends up being for naught though, because at the immunity challenge,
Tyson flying through this. Tyson wins immunity. Second time. Tyson has immunity once again. Tyson's safe at Tribal Council.
Back at camp, it seems like the wheels are still in motion to vote out Brendan, with everyone splitting their votes between him and Sierra.
I started this plan to eliminate Brendan days ago, but due to default, we didn't even go to Tribal. I've already got it set up so 4 votes go to Brendan, 3 votes go to Sierra. If Brendan gets wind of it, uses his idol, Sierra's gone, Brendan's gone in 3 days from that.
And the idea that Sierra could be going home seems to excite Tyson in a way that brings out his mean side, and I am not 100% sure what it is, but her and Aaron really get under his skin.
I'd like to see him go first, because I'd like 3 days of just bossing her around and telling her to shut up. Probably won't win me her vote from the jury, but it would probably win me everybody else's vote. So it would be a win-win for me.
Brendan then asks Coach and Tyson if the plan to vote for JT is still in place, and keep in mind this is a BS plan by Brendan. He thinks he is fooling them because he's trying to get Coach out, but Tyson lies, of course, no problem.
JT, do we all need to go together, or should we just kind of pass it around? We can just pass it around.
At Tribal Council, Tyson gets that blind side that he desperately wants. No, not the Sierra one, but Brendan the Dragon is voted out 4-3-2 since he did not play his idol.
You, my friend, are the dragon, and I am the dragon slayer.
Brendan, tribe has spoken.
It is now episode 10, and back at camp, Sierra is ripping a page out of Aaron's playbook where she's like, oh, I wasn't that close to Brendan, kind of like how Aaron was like, oh, I wasn't that close to Candace. And Sierra tries to claim that because Brendan had an idol in his pocket, she was blinded. She didn't know. She thought that was the most important thing in the game to have.
Thought was the most powerful thing in this game. He was holding the idol, so therefore I was playing. You do not
The most
speak
powerful
lie.
thing is friends.
But then Tyson continues his full force ripping apart of Sierra and goes to a place that I think most people would regret saying on TV, but I don't think Tyson is one to really regret much of anything that he does or says.
I've never liked Sierra. To me, she's of no worth. I mean, her parents probably love her. I can't imagine her boyfriend's that cool.
Tyson is then talking to Sierra and she says, hey, don't blame me for the voting out Coach plan. I didn't come up with it. Now Tyson is in a very arrogant place because this is what he says to her face in response.
I'm trying to explain my side so it doesn't look like I was the mastermind behind it?
I don't think you were the mastermind. I don't think you're smart enough for it. You're going to be the next to go. You're not going to be able to change that.
If Tyson reaches the final 2, this is 1 vote he'll never get. But that doesn't matter to him since he would rather have the other 6 locked in votes for treating her this way. At least that's what he thinks will happen. Anyways, at the immunity challenge, it is a game of shuffleboard essentially, as everyone wants their puck to be close to the target. Whoever gets their puck closest to the target with the game done wins. Tyson is the 3rd to last to go, and he secures a commanding lead. But then comes Sierra, and
Sierra knocks Tyson out and puts herself in position to win this challenge.
it is kind of poetic that Sierra is the one who knocks Tyson from safety in the game. But no matter, as Tyson is pretty sure Sierra is still being voted out next, and he thinks he is locked into a Final 5 alliance.
Tonight's Tribals Council is going to be awesome. I'm hoping that Sierra will cry a lot.
Back at camp, the wheels begin to come loose on the Tyson train as people see him as such an immunity threat since he was on the verge of winning his 3rd in a row, that pretty much everyone but Coach and Debbie sees this as one of their rare opportunities to get Tyson out of the game.
I think we might just take out Tyson. We might not get another chance.
Tyson is such a physical competitor that he may win every challenge out here. We got lucky today and someone else won, so we have to get rid of Tyson.
The Jalapao 3 are pulling a fast one on these Timbira members, and they have no idea about it. At Tribal Council, Tyson says he is glad someone he loves, like Debbie, won immunity. Jeff asks, well, who all do you love in this game, Tyson? And Tyson says,
Debbie, Coach, Steven, Taj, Aaron, JT, Brendan.
He is really leaning hard into the Sierra hate train, so much so that we have seen him say to her face that she sucks, besides what he tells us in confessionals, and then made this public display about how she is the only one he doesn't love here. Jeff then asks Sierra how she feels about this, and frankly, she doesn't make much sense with her answer, and
about what we were planning on doing, like...
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean?
Nobody does.
Tyson?
Everyone goes to vote, and as it turns out, Tyson is the one who's blindsided. In a 5-3 vote, only Coach and Debbie stuck with him.
Tyson, the tribe's spoken. Time for you to go.
So let's break this down. How is Tyson Apostol as a character? He is a real goofball who doesn't care about what he says, but did it with such tact that he made it even funnier instead of just mean, like it could have easily devolved into, and kind of did at the end with Sierra, who really didn't deserve it. Tyson was a breath of fresh air as a character for Survivor and brought a lot of intentional dark humor and goofy humor as well, which is crazy to imagine how despite his antics he wasn't even the funniest player on this cast since Coach was on the same tribe, and we'll dive more into why Coach is the funniest player in the season in his own video. But you may be wondering, how much did Tyson enjoy being blindsided since he talks so much about how much he would enjoy blindsiding others? Well, as it turns out,
Sneaky bastards. Now I know how Brendan feels. That bothers me that Sierra will be here longer than me. A little weird being outfoxed by an idiot.
suffice it to say, Tyson is a fun guy to be friends with, but would suck to be on the bad side of. Out of 26 character moments shown on the show, 13 were anti-heroic and 13 were villainous, making Tyson Apostol a polarizing character on Survivor Tocantins. Now, how is Tyson Apostol as a strategist? Not bad at all until the end when he got way overconfident and arrogant. This season's Tyson probably doesn't get Sierra and Aaron's vote, but depending on who he sits next to, could have easily won over the jury. He was a strong competitor who was only eligible to be voted out 3 times due to winning immunities. But in the end, his strong challenge performance and willingness to eliminate Timbira members before Jalapao did him in. Unlike those who were voted out after him, he didn't really see it coming and was the first casualty of a takeover by the Jalapao 3. With a better social game that's nice to everyone, and the smarts to know that eliminating Jalapao first nets him a great position to reach the end, and Tyson would be a serious contender for this season's crown. Out of 24 strategic moments shown on the show, 17 were smart and 7 were dumb, making Tyson Apostol a smart strategist on Survivor Tocantins. Thanks for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. See you all next time.